And then what about NASCAR? How'd you get involved in NASCAR? Because we talked about getting to Alabama from New York, but similarly, like New York is not a hotbed for NASCAR or motorsports either. So
Yeah.
so how did you get involved in that?
I was doing minor league hockey in what was a bus league. In those days, we didn't, and I was in the low enough minors that we traveled everywhere by bus. And one Sunday afternoon, we are going from somewhere to somewhere on the hockey team bus. And I had a little transistor radio with me with a little earbud. And those of you who are too young and you don't know what a transistor radio is, you can Google it. But I had the transistor radio and I was listening. I'm just going through the dial. I'm just going through the dial, and I hear NASCAR on the radio. And I said, well, heck, I can do that, not knowing if I could or couldn't. But I said, I can do that. So I made notes of who I was listening to. And it was Motor Racing Network out of Daytona Beach, Florida. They did all the NASCAR races, MRN as they're more commonly known. And I contacted them. And the general manager of MRN at the time was a guy by the name of Jack Arute. Jack, of course, became a noted sideline reporter in college football for ABC and did a lot of auto racing and so on. And I talked to Jack, and he said, "Well, have you ever done racing before?" And of course, like an aspiring broadcaster, I said, "Sure, I had." Well, I'd never been to a racetrack, let alone broadcast any racing. And then he said, "Well, great, send me your tape." And that's what they do, as you know, that's what they do in this business.
Yeah.
Send me your tape. Let me hear what you sound like. Well, the tape didn't exist. So I waited a couple of weeks and I called Jackie Root back, and I said, "Look, I can't find any of my racing tapes, but I do have some hockey tapes here handy. Would you take that?" Well, Jackie's from Connecticut, knew hockey, knew racing. And I guess he figured, well, if he can keep up with the speed and the pace of hockey, he can keep up with the speed and the pace of racing. So I sent him a hockey tape about a year and a half from making it to the NHL. So I was doing a pretty good hockey broadcast at that point. So I sent him that, and he hired me based on that hockey tape. They brought me to Charlotte in May of 1976. And he said, "All right, we're going to bring," in those days, people were not clamoring to broadcast NASCAR racing on the radio. It was not what it is today.
Yeah.
So he said, basically, "I'll bring you in. If you do well, we'll keep you. And if you suck," they sent me home 41 years later. Actually, I chose to depart at that point, but yeah, that audition and all lasted for 41 years.
That's that's pretty amazing that it started with hockey tapes.
Yeah.